And coming to global economy, recovery of economies worldwide are facing a host of challenges. Also, economic recovery has been uneven and not same for all the nations. How are developing nations looking at economic recovery and what's in store in future? To talk all that and much more, today we are joined by Ms. Mabuza. She's chair of BRICS Business Council of South Africa chapter from Johannesburg. Good morning to you. What do you think about the global economic recovery and what is the outlook for world economy, especially when more waves are expected in many nations?
So the COVID impact has been absolutely devastating on all fronts. If you look at South Africa, the economy has been negatively impacted. Our economy was not performing so well at the start of the pandemic, and we were just pushed deeper into a recession, of course, with the rest of the world. So that impacted trade with our major trade partners. Our unemployment rate, you will know, is absolutely high and very sticky at high levels, especially youth unemployment. This is an area that was also negatively impacted because, as you will know, where companies needed to close down and to fellow people, they use the last in, first out dictum. So young people were very negatively impacted, very unfortunately, during this particular time. Since the reopening, we have seen trade beginning to slowly come back into the economy. Absolutely not at the levels where we were pre-COVID, and not most certainly at the levels where we wish to be.
And Ms. Mabuza, when we look at economic recovery, there are challenges like supply chain challenges, semiconductor shortage. How do you all together they plan to beat that, especially BRICS nation together?
So the supply chains were totally devastated by the lockdowns in the various countries. And this has come through very clearly in our trade numbers. South Africa imports from India as well as exports to India shrunk by almost $800 million in the period from 2019 to 2020. Absolutely devastating for our economies. And this can be largely attributed to the supply chains. So we need to make sure that these supply chains are totally improved. And in our case as the BRICS Business Council, we work through 9 sector-facing working groups, but these also include deregulation working group, which would look at the bottlenecks where these are caused by either tariff, regulatory, or similar barriers.
And let's talk about stock markets in India. Well, they're touching record highs in US, everywhere. Is it a bubble? Are stock markets in bubble, or are they showing the real face of global economy? What do you have to say on this?
In South Africa as well, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange has just had a life and a mind of its own, which has been totally amazing. Of course, South Africa is largely a commodity-producing country, so we understand that there has been an uplift and benefit from that because the mining companies, the commodity producers, are declaring record profits. However, I am not so concerned about where the markets are because markets tend to price in the future earnings that are expected from the economies. And if you look at the pace of recovery of economies such as India, those are enviable recovery rates that many of us didn't expect to see. So I expect that the analysts and the players who are in the stock exchanges are pricing in that opportunity of a very steep recovery once we've resolved the pandemic and once we no longer need to have the harsh lockdowns that we needed to have.
WION now available in your country. Download the app and get all the news on the move.